Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and today's review is Matt Reeves and DC's new movie, The Batman. Robert Pattinson plays the titular character Batman - Bruce Wayne. The movie takes place only a couple years into his tenure as the so-called Batman. He uncovers corruption along with Catwoman and while pursuing the Riddler, who's played by Paul Dano, who is targeting the Gotham's politicians, police academy, and anyone who basically belongs to the elite. And also more interesting, he finds out his parents, who had been assassinated long before at that point, also played a major part in it by basically enabling it. This is definitely a really strong Batman movie. Yeah, this could in some cases could legitimately rival the 2008 movie The Dark Knight, which had Christian Bale and directed by Christopher Nolan. The acting of Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, and Colin Farrell, who's under latex after latex of makeup, and as well as Zoe Kashwitz, who's also in the movie. The performances of all of them are absolutely brilliant in the movie. The direction of Matt Reeves is surprisingly brilliant, considering he directed like the Plan V8 movies with Andy Serkis, and as well as the 2008 found footage horror movie Cloverfield. And also going out of my way to give the movie a lot of praise at the moment, starting off since the movie is already starting off well. Like, the cinematography is unbelievably gorgeous with the emphasis on the golden orangey yellows in the daytime, and almost has this neon noir aesthetic to it when it comes to nighttime, as it kind of almost like reminds me of films like Blade Runner when it switches into that color palette at night. And of course, the music is gorgeous. Like, it has Ave Marie, which is a really famous opera song, as well as a really well-known Nirvana song, Something in the Way, from the Nevermind LP, even though controversially I prefer the unplugged version rather than the original version. The crime noir elements in the movie are definitely something to be really interesting, because I also happen to get the comic book of Batman, because I watched it at the Odeon and they gave these away at the opening weekend, which is the Long Halloween Volume 1. And also reflecting on it, I kind of think the Riddler's costume kind of looks a little bit tad ridiculous, to be honest. Yeah, it's less of a I kind of enjoy the campiness of Jim Carrey's one, where it's like neon green and full of like question marks and all that. He just looks like a Slipknot member. And also the makeup effects of Colin Farrell, who basically looks like Gerard Depardieu if he was hit with an explosion right into his face, without of course like visiting the North Korean government during their parade season, which Gerard actually did. And what's also amazing that he's covered in like pounds and pounds of makeup, and there are like some instances that it kind of surprises me if this was like Colin Farrell. Like, I kind of know him with his really distinctive Irish accent, but I could not hear it or register it anywhere with his performance. Like, he completely like let himself go into that role. Like, he really became the Penguin. There are also plot elements from different movies that I really like the Riddler story, and how he pretty much got everyone into his side in the movie. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Ghost in the Shell, the TV series, particularly with the Laughing Man issue they dealt with throughout the series. And it also really potently reminded me of like David Fincher films, particularly his detective noir films like Seven, Girl with Dragon Tattoo, and Zodiac. Like, all these elements actually do like fit into these movies. Like, there's Seven with the detective noir and the color palette, which is very strikingly similar, and as well as a crime master who leaves really unorthodox clues around. Zodiac, as the main antagonist, wears all these weird clothing with weird symbols, and usually leaves his letters with really cryptic lettering. And Girl with Dragon Tattoo, since Joe Kazowitz's character, or Catwoman, kind of radiates Elizabeth Sanders' vibe of that movie. Like, it feels like a really big bit of a love letter to a lot of detective noir films that he directed, even though he did say in the interview he's not really that keen on superhero movies. But regardless, this is definitely a great film nonetheless. I think if there is like one entire thing that I wish could have been done like a lot better, it's probably the ending or the third act of the movie where, spoiler alert if you have not seen the movie, but if you have, just stick around, or you haven't, just leave the video right now. It's basically when the Riddler blows up the water banks and effectively floods Gotham City. Like, again, I did mention this movie was inspired by a lot of David Fincher movies, particularly Seven, but what really made Seven stuck out to a lot of people is its horrifying ending, being like the simple centerpiece that has an unbelievably horrifying implication. Would you say it's a pretty head? Yeah, but what I didn't like for this one, like, it didn't really feel as grounded like all the other crimes that the Riddler did at this point. Like, I just didn't think it just could have been realistically pulled off as efficiently as it should. Like, where the police officers in the movie kept tabs on what was going, even though it did stay in the movie, like, they were corrupt as well. Like, would someone notice, like, hey, there's like multiple men around cities in like Slipknot clothing and like driving vans around? Should we like pull them over and see what's in there or something? Like, did someone not notice it? Like, and also he did say that he's going to blow up. He did send a private video of saying, "Oh, I'm going to blow up the harbour." Like, would someone be like an insider for this? Like, insider of the community or something? Like, okay, I'm phoning the police. Like, this has gone too far. Like, please, Riddler, I mean, Slipknot guy is blowing up the harbour. Like, would someone at least backed away from this again? But I think what I liked about Seven, it was just such a simple move, and it kind of let Brad Pitt's character let his guard down and let the horrible reality sink in for himself. Like, I think for Batman, I just never really. I guess he did become like the hero, but that's not what he wanted. But which again is great, but I just wish the finale, the final fight scene, was a little bit more grounded in reality, and I feel like it's a titty bit more realistic and a little bit more of a full blown gut punch. Like, he didn't exactly. There's gonna be like one plan where, one little bit of the plan where Batman didn't get what he wanted, or there's one bit of a plan where the Riddler did get what he wanted. Like, I just wanted something a little bit more emotionally effective in that scene. The movie Batman is a brilliant movie. Like, great direction and writing from Matt Reeves and Peter Craig, and some gorgeous performances from Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kashwitz, Paul Dino, Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis, Peter Sarsgaard, and Colin Farrell. Great makeup effects, gorgeous cinematography, brilliant action scenes, and some great music, and quite a really grounded story, and some great use of Nirvana here and there. But all in all, I actually liked it, despite the flawed third act, which I wish could have been done a lot better. But all in all, this is definitely a brilliant movie that will be kept up, that will be seen highly and praised really well and looked on really brightly for years to come. I am feeling a 9 out of 10 for this one. What do you think about the Batman movie by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson? Let me know in the comments what you think. Like this video, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and let me know in the comments. And this is Elijah Wells, and bye!